Wow, interesting press conference today for head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, Josh McDaniels. Apparently, he has no idea what Derek Carr is talking about when quarterback Derek Carr completely broke down last night.
I think you'd have to ask him, more specifically, what he was or wasn't referring to. I've talked to Derek. I mean, we don't have a lot of guys miss. We have a lot of guys that come back and try to play as soon as possible. That's never been an issue. I would never address that way. I can't speak to what he was referring to specifically.
But he has no issue with the effort on the team. He has no idea what Derek Carr is talking about. Not sure exactly what effort Devontae Adams is questioning.
When two of your leaders, faces of your team, are kind of alluding to that, does that concern you at all?
No, I think it shows that they care. You know what I mean? And
so this is even more alarming because it shows just how much Derek Carr and Josh McDaniels are not in sync. How do you have a quarterback completely lose it in front of the media? Derek Carr does not want to lose it in front of the media like that. He knows people are going to clip it up. Everybody's going to talk about it. He broke down even though he tried to fight back. And Josh McDaniels has the gall to say he has no idea what he's talking about. You either don't like the guy or you don't know the guy. But we have learned a lot more about Josh McDaniels, and we actually know more about his contract and some of the plans that Mark Davis has with this head coach, and why this guy seems to not look that frustrated even though he takes L's and L's and L's week after week. And now we have learned that he will be the head coach for 2023 for sure. This is Jeff Howe of The Athletic getting this confirmed by Mark Davis that Josh McDaniels has been given assurances by ownership that he will return to coach in 2023. So we're stuck. We're stuck with Josh McDaniels. And not only are we stuck with Josh McDaniels for this year and next year, but it looks like we're going to be stuck with Josh McDaniels for a long time because Mark Davis thinks that he's doing a great job. When asked if he believes in McDaniels, he says, "Why wouldn't I?" And he also says he believes he's doing a fantastic job. That's why I hired him. We did an exhaustive search and found the person we believe is going to bring the Raiders greatness, but so far, all he's brought us is a 2-7 record. So all of us Raiders fans who want Josh McDaniels gone, we think he's clearly the problem. Well, Mark Davis is saying, too bad. Josh McDaniels talked about how they're building, not rebuilding. He doesn't want to use the term rebuild. They're just building.
We are building. I never use the word rebuilding or anything like that. It's the National Football League. You don't have enough. There's not 5 years to do that. So we know that.
He says there is a long-term plan, and he's going to coach this team as if there is a long-term plan. And Mark Davis meeting with Josh McDaniels. We've heard about this happening a couple weeks in a row after you have a bad loss. Mark Davis meeting with McDaniels privately. According to Josh McDaniels, this is not a big deal, and they meet every single week, and there's nothing crazy about his job security talked about in these private meetings, which bums all of us Raiders fans out, bums me out, and probably bums a lot of the players out. It's just so insane to me for Josh McDaniels to say that he doesn't know what Derek Carr is talking about when Derek Carr breaks down. He says, "Oh, I thank Derek Carr for breaking down in that way," and it shows that he cares a lot, yada, yada, yada. But at the same time, why is this quarterback who we've seen throughout his career be a good quarterback, a quarterback that you could win with, why is he breaking down under your offense? Why do we continue to lose games? And there's only one real explanation as to why the Raiders and Josh McDaniels, if Josh McDaniels is this talented offensive guru we heard about from New England, the guy you had to pry away from New England, the guy who didn't really want to go anywhere else and kind of got to choose where he wanted to go, is if you're straight up tanking for draft picks and you're looking to the future and you're pretty much just self-scouting at this point. But Josh McDaniels says, we're not trying to do anything other than win every game. That's what we'll continue to do. But you can say that, but we don't believe it when you lose to Jeff Saturday and give Matt Ryan the longest run of his career. We know back in March, Josh McDaniels, speaking to the Las Vegas Review-Journal, said that he wanted to draft a quarterback and develop them over time. This is something that he openly talked about. The 2022 draft was obviously one of the worst drafts for QB, so that would not be the draft to do it. But this upcoming draft in 2023 is absolutely loaded with quarterbacks. However, in order to get the top QBs, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Will Levis, you're going to have to pick up there in top 5. You're not going to be able to pick any lower than that. So you kind of need to not win games in order to be able to get one of those guys. Now, obviously, no one's come out and said, oh, we're moving on from Derek Carr. Josh McDaniels hasn't said that. Dave Ziegler hasn't said that. But now we know that they can do this if they want to. And now we also know that Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler definitely have more leeway than Derek Carr. And if somebody is going to be blamed for this season, they can easily pin it on Derek Carr. Vic Tafur of The Athletic confirming today, and many other people too as well, that Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler have a 4-year contract. You see it in this statement right here. After Ziegler complimented all the coaches and blamed the players in his most recent press conference, Big Tafer remarked that probably doesn't make Mark Davis happy, who gave both of these guys from New England a 4-year deal. And we know these coaching contracts are fully guaranteed, and we know Mark Davis isn't as wealthy as a lot of these other owners, so this guy does not have the cash to pay off the Gruden settlement and also pay off Josh McDaniels if he fires him, in addition to a new head coach. So I anticipate this guy and Dave Ziegler at least having 3 to 4 years, whether we Raider Nation like it or not. And think about how much you could possibly be paying him. Let's just say he's not paying him the highest in the NFL. You have some of these top 10 contracts. Sean McVay with $15 million a year. We know Josh McDaniels made $4 million a year as the offensive coordinator with the Patriots. And to be pried away from New England, we knew that he was in line to be the head coach whenever Belichick decides to retire. He had a long-term 5-year deal with the Patriots. Now he's got a 4-year deal with the Raiders. And I'm going to guess, we don't know, because he is one of the 13 coaches in the NFL with an unknown salary. We do not know exactly how much Josh McDaniels is making, but to be fair, there's a lot of other coaches who we do not know how much he's making. But if I had to guess, I would say it's obviously above $4 million. You're probably going to have to pay a little more than that to prime away from New England. Let's just say it's $8 million. Let's just say it's $7 million a year. That's a lot of money that Mark Davis already has committed to this guy. And it's also money you have committed to Dave Ziegler. And we know these guys are kind of a package deal. I don't imagine a situation where you fire Dave Ziegler and also don't simultaneously fire Josh McDaniels, or vice versa. I bring all this up to say I don't think Derek Carr is going to break down like that unless he knows something is up. I don't think a poor performance from his teammates or his teammates not giving it their all is really going to upset Carr that much. He has a 1 year out in his contract and he has such little dead money, he could even still make it past February, roll with the Raiders next year while they draft a QB under him or have a QB competition with another quarterback. But Derek Carr's cap hit is set to be $35 million next year. And that's a lot of money, especially when you can go and purchase a cheaper bridge QB and also draft another QB at the same time. And Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler clearly had a 4-year window and they knew they could do whatever they want for these next 4 years. We know Mark Davis doesn't like being involved in the football process, and he has no problem with giving somebody the keys to the car and let them drive it all around town as long as they want. So I think this was the plan from the get-go. We made a huge stink about the 1 year out in this contract earlier this year because it seemed sketchy. It seemed sketchy and it seemed only necessary if you're planning on moving on from Derek Carr. But Derek Carr took the bait because he wanted to play with his bud Devontae Adams so bad. And with these 4 years, McDaniels is able to just roll with Derek Carr this year, scapegoat him, and he still has 3 more years left on the books to do whatever he needs to do to possibly make this a championship team. And it's funny that Josh McDaniels says they're trying to win every game. That is clearly not the case based on some of his decision making. And the only way the Raiders really could keep Derek Carr at this point, the only way that I personally can envision them not moving on from him is if they get some wins together, because that would actually hurt their draft stock, make them have to pick a lot higher, and then you can't go and draft one of these QBs like CJ Stroud or Bryce Young. So maybe in order to prevent that, we'll see more second half collapses, giving up 20-point leads due to coaching in the second half by Josh McDaniels, because like I said last week, we will know for sure if they're tanking based on how they perform against the Colts. And this relationship between McDaniels and Mark Davis and Ziegler is why I'm wearing a Raiders shirt right now. I'm pissed off about the situation. I personally believe, in my opinion, that they are trying to screw over Derek Carr. And I was upset and I thought, you know what? I'm not going to wear Raiders gear until Josh McDaniels gets fired. But now I know, looking at this contract and everything, he's not going to get fired. He's not going to get fired at the end of this season. He's not going to get fired even during next season. Josh McDaniels is going to be here to stay for at least a few years due to the contract that he's given by Mark Davis and due to the fact that Mark Davis doesn't have much cash. So as Raiders fans, we got to hope and see that Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler know what they are doing. They have proven that they do not know what they're doing, and I'm still anticipating this being a complete disaster. But as a Raiders fan, I guess I've seen a lot of disasters in my lifetime, and what's so bad about seeing another one? In other words, there are some players inactive: Neil Farrell, Matthew Butler being inactive for the Raiders, and Josh McDaniels alluded to there being factors involved that don't have to do with play, some in-house issues, but I don't really think this is personally a big deal. This is not the reason the the Raiders lost the game is because they didn't have these two rookie D tackles or Cleveland Ferrell. When you look on a week-to-week basis, and when you look at the snap counts throughout the whole entire year, these guys have all barely played this entire year. It's not like it's Andrew Billings and Bilal Nichols not showing up to play. It's two rookies who haven't played all year. So to try to imply that this is what Devontae Adams and Derek Carr were talking about, I just do not buy it. I do not buy that Derek Carr is breaking down at press conferences because Neil Farrell and Matthew Butler are inactive. We'll keep you up to date with everything happening with the Las Vegas Raiders, and hopefully Josh McDaniels is able to figure out what Derek Carr was talking about in the press conference, since he currently does not know. Make sure you turn on notifications so you know when we are going live on this channel. Click that subscribe button for more Raiders content. My name is WiFiWillie. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.